Hi everyone, it's Mari. I'm back again today for the Vicki Boutin design team. I'm going to be creating a 12 by 12 project here. I'm starting off with a piece of the Vicki Boutin Foundations paper. I have treated this paper with some gesso because I am going to be using quite a bit of water on my mixed media. I'm going to be using the Prism glaze. This is one of Vicki's Creative Effects mixed media products, and I am going to water that down, as you can see there, and I'm going to spritz some water, or I've already spritzed water on the foundations page, and then I'm adding the watered down Prism glaze to that paper that has the water on it, so it is a wet on wet technique. You can just see that I'm continuing to spritz the water on the Prism glaze. I'm going to move the Prism glaze around on the paper by lifting it up and just sort of swishing it around, and I will just kind of continue to add more water until I'm happy with the amount of coverage on the paper that I have based on the size of my photo. My photo is printed at 4 by 6, so it's a large photo. I'm just using one photograph here on this project, and you can just see here I am using my heat tool to help me dry this up as I'm going along with my mixed media process here. So I am now going to splatter with some of that Prism glaze, and you'll just see me here adding that to my page just by splattering it down in a bunch of different areas. Now this is one of the color study stencils. I love this. It's so fun. It's got the little rainbows or fish scales or whatever you want to call it. I'm running the Prism glaze, the non-watered down Prism glaze, through the stencil with the Vicki Boutin palette knife, and you'll just see me here going in a few different areas here. I'm not making this linear at all. I'm just kind of making it in an irregular pattern, and the plan is to put the photo kind of in this area-ish and have that mixed media popping out. This is the Create paper, one of my favorites from the collection. I love it. I have fussy cut out a couple of rows of those rainbows. You can just see here how those look when they're fussy cut out. I am also going to, or have already, run a line of stitching along the scalloped edge of these fussy cut pieces, and that is going to be the top of my layout. I'm using the gel crayons as well to splatter more color on my background. This definitely is a rainbow color scheme, but I wanted my base layer of mixed media to all be in one color, so that the Creative Effects, the Prism glaze, is the one color, and now I'm just adding a rainbow of colors in splatters only on top. So what I'm doing is I'm scribbling down the gel crayon on my Nouveau mat. And so this is not my table. I have a craft mat on top. I love the Nouveau mat because it has kind of like a silicone back on it that sticks to my table, and this kind of a silicone plasticky kind of top that's slick, and the crayon just really scribbles nicely onto that plastic, and I use my finger to mix it up because I find that rubs out any little lumps of the crayon, which I dislike. I don't like those little undiluted lumps that sometimes you get, so it's really easy to mix it up and get a really nice blend of the gel crayon when you use your finger, and especially on this craft mat. So you can just see I'm splattering in a bunch of colors, and now I've got that darkest blue, kind of like a cobalt blue. I'm going to stamp with some of the stamps from the Color Study collection. I think I'm actually going to use both stamp sets here if I'm not mistaken, and just to make a few marks on the background besides what the stencil left. So this is just some mark making on my background here. I'm using some purple now, and I'm going to do the little heart stamp, and you can just see I'm just watering down the gel crayon and then stamping into the gel crayon pigment and then stamping onto my paper. And like I said, it just makes some fun marks, gives a little bit more interest and detail to my mixed media background. This is that series of circles stamp in the one stamp set. I love that, and I'm going to stamp that with the orange gel crayon, and now I'm just going to dry that so that I can move on. Now I am using one of the 8x6 papers. I love the 8x6 paper pad. It could possibly be my favorite thing from the collection. I always love the paper pads, and I'm using this paper here with the black and the script. This is going to be the first layer of my photo mat here. I'm just roughly cutting that out, and I'm just going to distress the edges with my paper distressing tool from Tonic. I'm going to get that all nice and roughed up so that it's got some good texture. And now I'm taking some tissue paper, some tissue paper from my stash. I've had this in my stash forever. It's a really big roll, so it takes a long time to use that up, which is great. I've got lots of it for this type of purpose. I'm just going to roughly trim that out by tearing it. And I really love the text that was left at the bottom of this, and I wanted to retain that. It says something like, be happy, be grateful, that kind of thing. And I really wanted that at the bottom of my photo. Here you can just see I've chosen out some embellishments for my project, a bunch of the die cuts from the die cut packs. And I've also chosen some of the chipboard pieces for that area over to the right of my photograph. I love those chipboard pieces. I think they're so fun. And I think it says like, don't stress, forget about the rest, something like that. It's just super cute. Now I have taken the rainbow dot paper. I do not remember the name of this paper, but you'll know the one if you have it in your stash. And I am going to tear a couple of different strips, I think 3 strips in total of this paper, and I'm going to put that at the bottom of the layout. I really like how that just gives more texture at the bottom. I'm going to do a bunch of sewing on those pieces as well before I add them to the bottom. I like to do my sewing on these types of papers before I add them to my project, just because I find that it's easier to stitch on a smaller piece of paper than to run the entire layout through my sewing machine. That gets a little bit difficult. So here you can just see all those strips of paper that I have sewn together. And I do add another tiny little strip of that dot paper to the top of the topmost strip there right now. I don't think I show that on camera, but trust me, it's there and you'll be able to see it when the layout is finished. Basically, all of the die cuts and everything are placed at this point where I'm going to put them. I just add them onto the layout straight. So here you can see I've added a couple of little circle stickers from the cardstock sticker sheet. I added a little chipboard heart to the center of that die cut pie chart. And a little tag. I've added a tag to the project and a little bit of twine. There you can just see that little bit of text on that tissue paper below the photo still. And there's that little bow I've tied from some lawn fawn twine in the tag, and the project's finished. I will add some journaling to this project once I'm finished photographing it, and this layout is finished. Thank you so much for joining me. Check the links below to all of the products that I've used today, and have an amazing day, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.